I'll tell you something. All my lawyer friends know. Judges know it much better. Law students must know it at this stage. I'm sure some of you will become lawyers, judges, some of you might become ministers also. We don't know what is in store for you. But for those of you who are going to become judges at a future date, please remember this. Every case you decide, you make one enemy. Because there are two parties. Well, this is a fact. Both the parties can't win the case. Only one party can win. The losing party will always have a grievance against the judge. If the losing party is a gentleman or a fine lady, the worst comment such a person can make is, this judge is an idiot, he didn't understand my case. If the losing party is not such a refined person, sky is the limit, anything can be said about it. The judge is corrupt, the judge is this, so-and-so spoke to him, Prime Minister spoke, Chief Minister spoke, well, anything can be said. So therefore, the happy are those who do not decide at all. Those who do not write judgments are the happy judges. See, the lighter wind talk apart, that is the reason why the judicial branch is given a little more protection, because every day they run into trouble. And politicians also, those who are contesting elections also have the problem. Now, you can't please everybody. Everybody has a problem in the world. No member of the legislature, no minister, no prime minister, no chief minister can solve all the problems of human beings. But the only thing is, periodically they will undergo the process of filtration. If you do it well, next election you win. If you don't do it well when you are in power, you may lose. Well, occasionally these principles also may get reversed. Even if you don't do well, you get elected, and those who do well don't get elected. These things happen. We have seen all those things in our lives. The point is, taking all these possibilities, a constitutional system is prepared, is handed over to our generations for our future. Now, what is the purpose of this constitution ultimately? If you look at the preamble of the Constitution, it contains the declaration. What is the purpose that is sought to be achieved by the Constitution? You can discern from the preamble of the Constitution. This whole arrangement is not for fun or just making somebody a Supreme Court judge or a High Court judge or a minister. It is not that. It is all this arrangement meant for securing certain basic values for we the people. That's how the preamble starts with the word we the people give to ourselves. For what? To secure for ourselves justice, equality and liberty. These are the three values which are sought to be secured by the Constitution. And each one of these provisions made following in the Constitution is meant to provide some or all of the three values to the society. Either they are meant for providing the liberty, some provisions are meant for providing. Once again, liberty and equality are interconnected things. Without equality, there is no liberty at all. Now, if with these high ideals which are mentioned in the preamble, the Constitution is made, what happened in the last 75 years? To what extent we, the people of India, have successfully secured for ourselves these core human values of liberty, equality? To what extent have we achieved? In the last 75 years, how did we work? Now, here comes the most distasteful part of my duty today. We haven't done very well, according to me. One the whole trouble starts with this. On October 2nd, January 30th, we go garland Gandhi's statue and his portrait here, there, everywhere. He didn't preach us any great political philosophy, like Karl Marx or Adam Smith or XYZ, anybody. He told us only one thing: speak truth. That's one thing which we never practice in this world, in this country. All of us know, every one of us sitting here, I'm sorry if I'm offensive, how much of money is spent in elections? What is the limit permissible under the law? Has it ever been complied with in this country right from 1950, after we got rid of the colonial past, the white man supremacy? To what extent have we implemented that? I don't think. Well, a few years back, when I was still in office in Delhi, there was an occasion. There's a place called the Constitution Club in Delhi. Some event was organized there. Some 80, 90 of us. All the 80, 90 participants were people who were either holding us on that day or had held sometime prior to that some very high public office in this country. Senior bureaucrats, some retired judges, some sitting judges, few politicians, discussing various things. A former Chief Election Commissioner of India, one Mr. Brahma, around 2014-15, he was the Chief Election Commissioner. Incidentally, he's from Northeast and he belonged to the cadre of the old Andhra Pradesh. He worked in Hyderabad. I knew him personally. By the time of this meeting, Brahma had demitted office. He was also there. He said the situation is very alarming. This was in 2015 perhaps. After 2015, 2 elections took place in this country. 2015, he said, he made a statement, mind you, these are not my words. I'm not disowning it. I'm telling you, narrating an incident. Situation is very bad in this country. People are spending 40, 50 crores to become members of the parliament. Everybody in the gathering smiled. Nobody thought it's a serious matter not to smile. It's too serious a statement he made. The law doesn't permit that kind of expenditure. Why? Not because somebody made law. Because there's a logic behind it. People must vote voluntarily, recognizing what is good for them, what is not on the basis of the 2,000 or 3,000 paid on the day of the election or one day before that. That is the purpose behind the law, which says this is a corrupt practice. It is procuring votes. We don't follow it. We never followed it in this country. Maybe other democracies also some kind of monetary corruption is there, but not this kind of. Anyway, it may vary from place to place. I don't want to make a generalities. Let us confine ourselves with the Indian problem. And after that, if somebody is spending 50 crores to become a member of parliament, or 20 crores or 30 crores to become a member of the state legislative assembly, no, as I told you about the litigant who is a nice man or nice woman, if the politician is also a nice man or nice woman, he or she will at least recover that much of money for spending it in the next election. If the person is not such a nice person, he will amass more and build estates. That's a different matter. Forget it. This is the default. Minimum you must collect that much of money for the next election. And how do we expect in a system like this, a constitutional governance, as envisaged, all of us lose no time claiming that Baba Sahib was a great man who gave, but we have simply failed him. If he is such a great man and he gave us such a wonderful document, I have no doubt about it. He was a great mind. He's a very great mind. And how is it that we amended it 130 times so far? It is such a wonderful document. Because it doesn't suit our convenience. Every time something came in our way, we amend the constitution. And go on the December 14th and pay salute to Baba Sahib. And they think we have done our job. Or do it on October 2nd to Mahatma Gandhi. See, that's the problem of India. The last 70 years, this continued like this. Take one more thing. there is this 10th schedule business till 1984 or 85. I think the 10th schedule was introduced during the period of Rajiv Gandhi. Floor crossing was a very favorite pastime of quite a few politicians in this country. I don't know, youngsters, we would have heard it or not. When we were college going, this kind of people, floor crossing, MLAs and MPs, there was a catchword those days, Ayarams and Gayarams. They came in the morning, went in the evening from this party office. Obviously you heard it, you are smiling. This is Ayaram Gayaram business. Parliament in its collective wisdom believed that this must be stopped. Therefore, 10th schedule was incorporated, saying this kind of a unprincipled defection from one party to another party should be stopped. 10th schedule was incorporated. In fact, I was collecting, unfortunately I couldn't collect immediately because of my other commitments. In the last 30 years of the existence of the 10th schedule, hundreds of complaints, more than 100 complaints were received from various parts of the country in different legislative assemblies and in the parliament. And, whether there was in fact a defection or not, the decision-making process under the Constitution is entrusted to the legislative body, parliament or legislative assembly, as the case may be. How wisely or unwisely those decisions were taken, I will not go into in those cases where they are decided. But I have known number of cases, if exact percentage I may not be able to give correctly, at least 20, 30, 40% of cases, no decision is taken on the complaint. They are kept pending with the speaker. Speaker is the authority who is supposed to decide that. When that provision was challenged before the Supreme Court said the speaker is a high constitutional tribunal. Therefore, there is nothing wrong in the entrustment of the power to the speaker. We will not interfere with that. But then after that, in how many matters the matter remained? No decision is taken on that. All to suit political convenience of the parties from where people are, to which the people are going. That's human nature. So therefore, you need something to control it. The very idea of incorporating the 10th schedule in the Constitution, finally, did it serve any purpose? Is something at least the members of the legal fraternity may just think it over. In how many cases it was. I am not talking about where a decision is taken. The decision may be right or wrong. This is a different matter of opinion. We can discuss. But I am talking only about those cases where no decision is taken once the complaint is lodged until the assembly is dissolved and the parliament is dissolved. No decision is taken. This is how we implement the Constitution. And all of us, each one of us who hold or held a public office, take an oath that will uphold the Constitution as by law established. And eventually, when it comes to implementation, this is what happens. Now, this problem is nothing peculiar to India. It is a problem of human beings. Such things may not be in the same manner, in the same dimensions, or with the same intensity, may not happen, but this kind of problems exist all over the world wherever there are human beings. Talking about the judiciary. Well, it's no guarantee that the judiciary always reaches the right conclusion. But in the words of a very celebrated scholar on constitutional law, a gentleman called Lawrence Tribe, who teaches constitutional law in Harvard. He's also fairly old now, I think must be around 80 now, I'm told. He's not that well. He wrote a fantastic treatise on American Constitution. In the preface he says, excuse me for a minute. Sorry. In the preface of that book, Tribe says, in the context of America and American Supreme Court, he said, I do not consider the judgments of the Supreme Court to be synonymous with constitutional truth. A court which held slaves to be non-persons, if you have completed your constitutional law study, but it can never be complete, the basic introduction. You remember the Dred Scott case of America, when a black sued for his declaration of his liberty, those were the days still some states abolished slavery, some states did not abolish slavery. This man by chance entered a state where slavery was abolished. He sued, saying that he must get a declaration that he is a free man since he is in a free territory. The matter went up to the American Supreme Court. It's a matter of historical record. The Supreme Court at that point of time said, all these rights guaranteed under the Constitution are only meant for the benefit of the whites and not colored people. It took almost about 100 years for the Supreme Court to get over that position and declare the position to be wrong judgment, Dred Scott. It was in this context, Tribe says, a court which held slaves to be non-persons. Separate is equal. Until Brown's judgment came 1954 or so in the Supreme Court, Brown versus Board of Education, repeated, US maintained, all of us talk about India and the untouchability problem with which we know, we are familiar. Fortunately, South India is much better in that matter. We got rid of it much earlier. Parts of the country, it's still worse position. This discrimination existed in US also. It's supposed to be a great democracy for the last 200 years. Till 1954 in America, black children were not allowed to enter the schools where white children were studying. Black people were not allowed to go to the same beach where white people use. They were all separated. And it was questioned repeatedly, saying that this kind of an arrangement is constitutionally invalid as violative of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution of America. More than one occasion, the American Supreme Court justified such segregation with a queer logic. If black children are made to go to a separate school, don't mix with the white children. The logic adopted by the Supreme Court was, so long as it's the same curriculum in both the schools, so long as the same kind of table and chair provided to the student in black schools, so long as the same examination system is followed in both the things, there is no discrimination. But then making these children sit separately, telling them you can't sit with us, will have a devastating impact on the psyche of the child, is something which the American Supreme Court for a long time didn't recognize. Eventually, in Brown versus Board of Education, they said, no, it is in this context. Lawrence Tribe says, a court which held slaves to be non-persons and separate is equal and gives one or two other things, could either hardly be final or infallible. Wonderful, all of us agree. But then the profundity of the scholarship of the man comes in the next sentence. But such passing finality as the judgments of the Supreme Court have is essentially a compromise between order and chaos. If we don't have an institution like that, if an institution like this, there is a possibility if it commits an error, it could be corrected a few years later. If the institution doesn't exist, you will have to settle all these problems, taking a couple of sticks or modern days, take a couple of AK-47 weapons and settle these things on the road. Is it a society in which we would love to live? This kind of a society where things are decided by physical strength. I don't think it would be a very pleasant society. At least I am not willing to live in a society like that. Therefore, I always protested whenever I saw a problem that something is going wrong.